Hey, a win is a win. Can you believe it, folks? Toronto FC actually won a game. We won a game in Major League Soccer. I'm absolutely still aghast. It's Tim here once again on Monday, coming to you but a day and a half after Toronto FC's road win versus DC United, Dwayne De Rosario and company at RFK Stadium last Saturday night. It's a win. It's a road win, no less. And it's really heartening to see that the narrative for this team has actually changed a little bit. And I'll get to that at the end of this video. It's really encouraging to see that we're going to have something to talk about other than a late collapse for once. A win on the road. Yes, a win against a team that's actually struggling right now, but still a win on the road in a league that's notoriously difficult to win away for inexplicable reasons to me. Defensively, Joe Bednick had another strong game. Caldwell played well. OD had his best effort at left back. I'm really hopeful that Eckersley's injury allows him to come back into the center of the park. Agbosa Monde, even though of course that soft penalty was awarded to him, I think had a pretty decent game as well. I think he's a keeper for the long term. And Luis Silva, who I think really has made some steps backward this year after some encouraging signs in 2012, had what I think for him was one of his best games of the season on Saturday night as well. And it was nice to see Robert Earnshaw actually poaching and doing his little ole at the end of the goal scoring. I've been railing against long balls and headers to a short striker who's not really good in the air. And hey, I suppose if you do it 100 times, one of them is going to turn into a goal, and that's exactly, I think, what happened to put TFC back in the game after being down early 1-0. It was really nice as well with a team that obviously I think has a bit of a fragility when it comes to their confidence. Actually, putting their noses to the grindstone and I think across the board pretty well consistently outplaying the competition in DC United. Two players stood out. Joe Bednick, I should say, again, potentially man of the match performance, a number of excellent saves. But Matthias Laba, who actually signed this little thing, if you remember back a while ago, they had the Purolator, food bank drive. And if you bring food to the stadium, you get a little pennant, and mine was actually signed by Matthias Laba. After games like that on Saturday, I saw him do some magic in the midfield, where he had no space to work with. He'd hold the ball up, he'd flick it from foot to foot and find an outlet to move the ball forward. Kid's got a lot of talent, and it was really good to see him actually, I think, have his best match so far in TFC Red. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm a fan. I love the team, and I'm really pleased that they won a game. But I'm really trying to temper my happiness in this result, because I think it's important for us not to let ourselves get too far ahead of where the team actually is. It's only one game after all. DC United are poor. They had arguably their best player and most potent goal-scoring threat, Chris Pontius, actually out. They were playing on 3 days rest. They actually played, I think, Philly in the Cup, which they won, in the US Open Cup competition a couple of days before. So they were playing on 3 days rest with their best player, arguably, on the sidelines. And of course, they've been struggling all season as well. But still, it was nice to see Toronto FC, especially late, be calm, because that's been one of the challenges, I think, and I'll get to this narrative thing I was talking about in a moment. That's been one of the huge challenges, is all of these late losses becoming almost a self-fulfilling prophecy at a point. It was really refreshing to see the ball in the DC half late. It was really nice to see Toronto FC working on keeping possession late, rather than parking the bus and trying to actually hold teams late, which has gone so wrong so often this season. It was nice to see the team not sort of had their shoulders slumped when Hilarious Grajeda, I think he probably should be called, another poor MLS referee that we actually saw again on Saturday night, inexplicably called 5 minutes of injury time, and everybody that I was watching with at the pub was like, oh God, here we go again. But still, Toronto FC kept their noses to the grindstone, kept the ball in the DC half, and there weren't really any significant challenges to Toronto FC's well-earned point late from DC United. Now, going into this game, and this is this narrative thing I was talking about, going into this game, I was thinking to myself, and I did verbalize it to those around me because I'm not really shy or anything. I actually said that, I would take anything other than a late loss. I would have taken a 10-0 blowout, to be perfectly candid with you. Something to change the narrative is what this team needed. The performance on Saturday was decent. It was a decent performance against, as I mentioned, an aforementioned relatively poor team in DC United against Toronto FC. TFC's opponent on Saturday is bottom of the league, and they're bottom of the league for a reason. And I think it's fair to say that Toronto FC actually has had better games. Not the KC win at the Rogers Centre or anything like that, but I'm talking about recently. They've had better 90 minutes. I think overall they probably played better against Philly than they did against DC in a lot of respects. But because TFC did not choke, did not lose points from a winning position, didn't blow a late point by conceding a goal late and giving up 3 points rather than earning one, take your pick. This actually changes the narrative a little bit. Some of the performances that haven't really worked out well have been decent performances, but yet the story is the late dropping of points. Now we have a half decent performance, and a lot of the positive things that actually worked really well on the pitch are something that they can actually try and build on right now. Earnshaw getting back on the board and getting his cockiness back, and he's a streaky guy, and he might go on a run. Who knows? The aforementioned Mr. Lava here, who sky's the limit for that kid. He's got a lot of potential. Looked really, really good. The fact that defensively the only goal conceded was a really soft penalty, and barring a couple of decent chances, I think Toronto FC was the better defensive team on the day. Basically, this game gives Ryan Nelson and Fran O'Leary and Kevin Payne the opportunity to sort of change the storyline a little bit. Now they can say, listen, boys, your hard work is paying off. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep buying into the program. Keep doing what we're asking you to do, and the results are going to come. So we didn't get a blowout against. We didn't lose late. We won. And the narrative changes at least slightly. The direction changes a little bit slightly. And now it's on to another tough game on Saturday against the Houston Dynamo away at a stadium actually where TFC's done relatively well, considering that I think Houston had a 35-game winning streak or something in their stadium a while ago. So we've actually done relatively decently in Houston. So hopefully that's something that we can continue, and hopefully something that the game on Saturday past helps us build upon. And finally, before I go, I want to say a thank you and via con Dios to Mr. Terry Dunfield. It's really sad to see Terry go. I think he became a victim of his contract and a victim of a very crowded midfield. There's been talks of him actually getting a coaching position with Toronto FC. I hope that he is able to continue to play. I think he could bring a lot on the field in MLS or elsewhere. So I hope that he's at least given the opportunity to actually apply his trade as the professional that he's been here in Toronto. So thank you to Terry Dunfield. Thank you to TFC for changing the narrative. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll have another video up on the weekend after the Houston game on Saturday. Thank you, and have a good week. Cheers.